Welcome to the Penny for Our Thoughts podcast, where you can get a third-party opinion on your worries, concerns, or problems that you might have in your life. Remember, don't keep it to yourself. Give some to us. My name's Gerald.
And my name is John, and we are your hosts for Penny for Our Thoughts. How's it going, Gerald?
I'm pretty low energy today, man. Hoping this will perk me up.
Yeah, I'm a little today. I will admit I'm a little tired today, but we can get it. We'll get some good concerns in.
Yeah, hopefully.
Get some good advice, and we'll get up. Maybe we'll get all riled up.
Hopefully by the end we'll have our energy up.
Exactly.
I think it's kind of fitting though. The past couple of weeks we had some pretty energetic guests.
We did, yeah.
Now we can, simmer down and just have the, intimate one-on-one session today.
Yeah, I guess the last 2 weeks we had some pretty energetic guests thinking about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You want to jump right in?
All right, let's go.
All right. First one is from Creepy Cactor. And it goes, a new job or a trip of a lifetime? So for a few years now, I've been planning and saving for a month-long trip in Japan for March 2022. My current, in parenthesis, dead-end job is letting me take time off unpaid, 5 weeks. And this never happens. A few weeks ago, I got recommended by a friend to apply where he works. Being in the same place for a better part of a decade had me shooting for it without thinking. It's 30 to 40% more than what I make now, and that's just starting out. Full-time, benefits, 9 to 5. It's a foot in the door to a new skill set that I can potentially take me somewhere. I have an interview tomorrow. There is a slim chance if the interview goes well that they will accommodate that time off. I intend to bring it up at the tail end of my interview. My heart starts racing when I think I'll have to choose. This is a big deal for me. I need some advice. Do I pass up on a trip of a lifetime for new career prospects? On top of that, Japan might still not even be open by then to tourism, so there's that to consider too. Any help with mulling this over would be appreciated. Thanks.
How old is Creepy Cactor? Did it mention there?
Doesn't say.
I'm assuming that you are on the younger end because you're going on a month trip to Japan. So I'm assuming you're on the younger end. So probably either, anywhere between mid-20s to mid-30s. I want 100%, 110%, 1,000% go for the job. Job is, like you said, it's something that will lead to other things. And I think you would go into bigger and better things if you think that's what this job's going to lead. But if you're saying that they can't give you that month off because of, the office is a new job and you might be even hesitant to ask for time off. A lot of people are.
Yep. And
you're willing to give up your whole lifetime or career for 1 month of Japan. Like, I've been to Japan. It's great. Like, I'm not gonna discount Japan. It's been great.
Yeah.
I've never been to Tokyo, but I've been to like 4 different cities in 5 days and it was great. But would I give up my career and give up my quote unquote, like my life for it? No, it's not that worth it. You're right. I went to only Japan. Again, it's all before COVID because it was cheap. and I had the time. If I had another job lined up or if I was getting ready for my big career change, then no, I would be like, what, this can be in the back burner. It doesn't need to. Don't risk your whole life for just 1 month in Japan. Why can't you just get that a year after your new job? If you get the job. And then after a year, just ask, hey, what's the vacation time like? And then they tell you it's 2 weeks, and just take 2 weeks and ask for 2 more weeks off unpaid and see if you can get it. Or with the way the world is changing, a lot of people are working from home, and you didn't specify what kind of job it is. And if it's something that you can work from home, then do both. Go to Japan and work from Japan. Like I actually, speaking of the devil, I actually know someone, one of my good buddies that I met in junior high school, at the university. We went to the same schools. He worked in the city that I'm in, and he realized once COVID hit, he can work from home. So then he moved to a different place and lives there now, and he seems to have a blast. And all he does is work from home.
Have the same job.
Yeah.
Didn't even switch jobs.
Yeah. Same jobs. He just decided to move. He wanted to see what it's like to live somewhere else. That was his only reason why he moved, from what I remember.
Yeah.
But he still works the same job.
That's pretty fortunate. I don't think very many people can find themselves in that situation where you can keep the same job and move to a completely different place.
Yeah.
I don't hear that very often.
Yeah, he's one of the luckier ones. And again, I don't know the full story. I think this is what I'm getting. I did talk to him here and there and see what's going on. And I think he did tell me he's still at the same job and then just doing that. So he got lucky. Yeah, he works at a tech company, so he can work from home.
Yeah, remotely.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. I completely agree with you here. But just to empathize with creepy cactor, it can be very alluring, especially if it's something that you've been looking forward to for such a long time, right? And it doesn't sound like this next job is just a job. This sounds like something you can definitely stay with long term. So I could give you points maybe if this was like just another, side grade. If it wasn't such a big upgrade of a job, then I would be more hesitant to 100% agree with you here, John. But this sounds like maybe it's just us getting older, getting to that age, but like sounds like the dream when it comes to stability and significantly more income. And like you said, that's 30 to 40% more you earn, and there's so much room above that that's what you make it sound like anyway. There's so much room above that to grow. And just to add on to what you already said, Japan isn't going anywhere, right?
Yeah.
Japan's always going to be there. And like you said, Japan might not be open to tourism by the time you decide to go on your trip, right? And for all you know, you might even be able to get better vacation benefits from this new job. I don't think there's too much of a choice here. I think the hard part here is bringing yourself out of like your emotional, I want to go to Japan, and kind of look at the pros and cons. I think Maddie would agree. Pros and cons list. Because I don't know. It sounds like a career job that you're going to make this move towards. And if you absolutely have to choose, like you said, I don't know if I would agree bringing up a 5-week trip to the interview. I don't know. Would you do that? I don't think I would do that.
Not an interview, no. Once I get the job and have the job offer, then I would ask.
Then I would explore what their vacation is like.
Like,
right?
Even because if once they give you the job offer, I think before you say yes, I would ask. It's like, hey, I'm planning a trip to Japan. Would the company be able to accommodate this or no? Right? But what's after the job offer has been given to you?
Yeah.
Don't do it before the job is even if you're just doing the interview process, the job's not yours. It can be someone else. And if I was an interviewing someone and they're asking about vacation when I'm interviewing, I'd be like, all right, this guy doesn't even want, this guy's more interested about vacation time than he's interested about the company and doing the work. So I would be turned off by him or her, depending on what could get there. I just wouldn't mention vacation until after, because once the offer is given to you, now the company wants you. Now you know that. Now this is where the negotiation table happens. When it's just an interview, the company is like seeing if they want you or not, and obviously you want the job. Yeah. But then once the offer comes out, now you know for sure the company's like, oh, we really want you to be part of our team. That's when the negotiation happens. You don't negotiate in the interview. You negotiate when the offer comes out.
That makes sense.
Right?
Yeah. It's obviously good information to know when you're going into that position, but there's a time and a place to ask about it, right? In the interview, I agree. It's not the place to ask. It's one thing to extend your start date, maybe, right? By like a few days to a week to get, a little bit of time to yourself between jobs. Yeah. Right. But I wouldn't right off the bat be like, hey, before I start this interview, I'm not going to be able to start till whatever, 5 weeks from now. Because that ultimately it's a bad look, right? You're not there for the job. You're there for yourself and see where this job, sounds kind of backwards, but you're indicating to the company that what's going on with you is more important than what you can offer them. Yeah. Right.
And I just want to point out again, it's a very, what Kriti Kaktar said, it's a very optimistic situation. You're assuming that you got the job offer. Yeah. And Tokyo or Japan, I guess, as a whole is open to tourism. You're now that's a very optimistic view, and it could happen 100%. I think that's a good way to look at it. But there's always a downside. What if you're right? What if you get the job but Japan's not open? Yeah. Vice versa. What if Japan is open and you don't get the job?
And then where are you? Right?
Yeah. So then I think you're putting too much. It's like the whole putting the carriage before the horse kind of thing. Mm-hmm. It's that idea. You're thinking very optimistic. I think the first thing you should do is get the job offer first. Yeah. And then see. But for now, plan your Japan trip because you don't know if that's going to happen.
That's true.
Plan it. Don't buy anything yet because it's in March. So you can still buy your ticket in late November, early December, late December, wherever. Yep. Right. So don't buy the ticket yet. Wait until you get the job. And then now sit down and have that conversation with yourself. What is more worth it? And I think if you eventually realize that the job is more worth it than a vacation, I would give you, like, I would more understand more if your other experience, I guess in this situation, the experience of traveling is a one in a lifetime opportunity. Then I would be like, okay, I would understand a little bit more. Like, you're right. You mentioned Japan is always going to be there.
Yep.
Right. But if Japan like magically disappeared for some reason.
And you knew about it.
Yeah. Or like, it's like the lost city of Atlantis and only one day it's open, or like 1 month it's open and you only can go for 1 month and it sinks again or something. Then yeah, I would understand. That's a lifetime experience that you could never get ever again. Then I can see that your dilemma with the job and then the trip.
Mm-hmm.
But in this case, you can have the job, work at the job for 2-3 more years, and then go to Japan, especially when the whole COVID situation dies a lot more down 3 years from now. So it's safer for you, health-wise.
Yeah.
And you have more spending money because you worked at your job for 2-3 years.
Yeah, I was about to say the same thing, because compare it now, assuming scenario one, you keep your job that you have now and then go to Japan for 5 weeks, versus you get the new job and then wait a few years to accumulate the vacation time and then go. You're going to have I personally would think so, that you would have so much more fun in Japan 3 or 4 years down the line, or 2-3 years down the line, like you said, when you have more spending money, and chances are you'll be able to experience more things because you'll have more spending money, and you get to come back to a more what sounds like a more stable, financially stable job.
And again, more going down the whole optimistic route. Let's say you get the new job, you decide to go in the job. You might meet people that want to go to Japan with you, and maybe you'll meet like lifelong friends at your job. And then now, instead of going alone to Japan, I don't know if you were planning to go alone, but if you were, you can go with friends that you met at your new job, or maybe there's a Japanese coworker that can like actually take you to Japan.
Yeah.
And then like tour you around and like help you like speak the language and whatever. Again, that's very optimistic. We're going down the rabbit hole here. But again, the whole thing is contingent on you getting the job.
Mm-hmm.
So wait, do the interview, do it really well. Once you get that job offer, yes, it's fair for you as the potential employee to ask your vacation time. Can the company accommodate? And for, you mentioned like 30%, 40% more salary. That might not actually happen, because once the job offer happens, they'll tell you the salary. That's when they'll disclose it normally.
Yeah.
Right. They don't disclose it. You can ask in the interview and they'll probably tell you. Again, it doesn't make you look like a very good person because you're interested more in the money. But if you want to ask, you can.
Yep.
But once the job offer happens, that's when you find out everything. Vacation time, what are your benefits? What's the actual income difference from your old job to this new job if you get it?
Yeah.
But if, we're going by your situation, optimistically, if you get the job, and Japan, I would say job 110%. Japan can wait. Japan's not going to die. Japan's not going to go away. You can go whenever you want. And again, maybe you'll meet some cool friends at your new job and go to Japan together.
Just disclosure, go whenever you want after you get this new job, right?
Yeah.
This new job, I feel like will definitely be a step in the right direction for your future, right? Like it's kind of a no-brainer. Because dead end job versus 30-40% more, assuming like that's what they actually get.
Yeah.
Right. It's invest in your future, wait a couple of years, and it's not, Japan will come.
Yeah.
Okay. I think we've definitively answered that one.
Yeah, just go get the job.
We'll go on to our next one if you have no other final words.
No, I have no final words on that one.
All right. Our second concern here is from Big Booty Judy 7. And it goes, I recently turned in a 2-week notice and they said they aren't accepting it. I gave my 2 weeks notice to a job that I've worked for about 9 months. Sorry. I've worked for 9 months about 2 days ago. That's what it is. Because I'm in college, I'm planning on interning soon. And I also have a second job that pays me about $5 more an hour, which is why I decided to quit. It's all overwhelming and I'm exhausted all the time. In the letter, I said that I would help find my replacement, and I am. The job is home care health. It's super easy to find people in this field willing to work. It was hard to turn in the 2 weeks because I love the family. I wanted to quit a month ago and was so anxious about it, but I finally got the motivation to do it. Everyone around me said it would be good for me. I gave the daughter who schedules me the letter, and she said, I will not accept this. I was taken aback by this because I thought she would understand my circumstances. We went back and forth because she kept saying things like, you can't leave us, we don't have anyone else. Or why not work just one day a week? Or just please work every other weekend. We need you for Christmas. I kept saying I could help until I find someone new, and I just kept explaining how exhausted I am. Today, she said she was going to have me work one weekend a month and every Thursday morning. They've been having me work Thursday mornings, even though I have an online class, because they assumed I could just do it there. I said maybe. They said they don't want a different person just because they're going to keep me. I just don't know what to do. Should I just come in until my 2 weeks are up and not come back in? Should I stay until I find a replacement for myself?
You don't owe them anything.
That's very true.
That's honestly I'm a huge believer in loyalty and being loyal to the company that you work for. Like the company that I work for, I'm incredibly loyal. Like I don't think I'll ever leave that company. I love my company, and I love my job. However, in this situation, you're moving from point A to you're moving from job A to job B, which job B is much better. So unless job A can match what they're doing and job B, they're losing you. That's literally what's happening right now on a day-to-day basis. If they're not paying you enough and you're worth more in terms of the market or whatever, then you got to leave. Simple as that. You did the good thing of doing the 2 weeks notice, and you actually actively looking for your replacement is not your job. Your job is home care, as you set it out. You don't have to look for your own replacement. You gave the 2 weeks. If they don't want to accept it, that's on them. Just don't show up after 2 weeks. You did your part. If anybody asks, you did your part.
Exactly.
It'd be a different story if you tell us now and saying, hey, I'm just going to quit on the job. I hate this job. I'm leaving. No 2 weeks notice. Then I'd be like, cancel a little. You could still do that.
Yeah. You're not obligated to hand in 2 weeks notice, right?
Yeah. See, it's a courtesy thing, right? You don't want to burn any bridges.
Yeah.
That's fine. And you gave them the notice. And if that person doesn't want to accept it, you could just be like, okay, that's fine. I gave you my 2 weeks notice.
Yep.
Right. I don't know what you can say. What I would do is you probably handed it in by a piece of paper, like a physical piece of paper. Yeah. Email it to someone. Email it to that same person again, because they have a digital copy and you have a digital proof that you actually gave it out.
Mm-hmm.
So in case something does happen in the long run, saying, hey, this person didn't give us 2 weeks and you just quit, you could go to your email and just be like, hey, look, I sent you an email. This is the email that I've sent my thousands of emails to you. There's a digital copy of it. If you didn't get it, that's not my fault. I sent it. Because if it's a physical copy, again, if you're worrying about that part, it's a he said, she said situation, right? It's like, oh, I gave it to you. No, you didn't. I didn't get it. Oh, I did. Oh, so then if you email, it's done. It's proof right there. You got it.
There's a paper trail.
There's a paper trail. So email that. That's the first thing I would do. Email it. If they don't accept it, don't feel bad. I understand that they're your family. That's kind of the cool part. But if they're your family, they will let you move on to better things.
They're actually not her family.
But they feel like a work family.
Feels like, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Like a work family, yeah. So then I know they feel like your work family. You love them. You love the people. And if they, treat you with respect as you treat them, they should be like, you know what? You're moving on to better things. I respect that. We'll let you go. And then, since you offered, they can obviously ask you, hey, can you find a replacement for yourself?
Yeah.
And that's fine. And at this point, it's all good. But they're just not letting you leave. So then if it gets to that point, you hit the 2 week mark and then you need to start your other job. You started it and they expect you to come in, just be like, I quit. I'm not working there.
Yeah.
Right? As long as they're not paying you money and you're not receiving any money from them, it's done. Right? I'm assuming it's an hourly thing that she's getting paid. Again, as an assumption.
Yeah. No details on that.
Yeah. Hourly thing. So if you didn't work that day, you're not getting paid. Done. That's literally how it works. You trade capital for labor. That's
society.
It. Yeah. And if it's salaried, if they did pay you, right, you're obligated to return that back because you didn't work that.
Right.
If that's the case, yes. But then they should have figured that out before they even accidentally gave you a salary after the 2 weeks you put the notice in. But again, you're not in the wrong. You did everything right. Go have fun at your new job. You hope you aren't as exhausted as you are in this job. And if they keep bugging you, just don't show up to work. And you know what? As much as it sucks to burn a bridge, you're doing it for yourself. It's betterment for your life, your career, your future.
Everything that they're doing already is already going above and beyond. And it speaks to them as a person, I believe, that they want to do all of those things on top of just working, right? Because at the end of the day, you're not, like I said, everything that you're doing is a courtesy. you're not asking for permission to leave, right? You don't need to ask permission legally.
Yeah.
You don't need their permission to quit the job, right? And I think it's going to be hard, but the objective here is you're gonna have to pull yourself out of, being, friends or being close with them, being family with them, and see it as a position that you work. This is your job. And by definition, you're allowed to quit a job anytime you want. Even the 2 weeks notice is a courtesy. That's not something you're obligated to give them. And you're just out of the kindness of your heart, you're giving it 2 weeks and you're even looking for someone to replace you. It's hopefully the bridge here isn't burned and it's just like a panic reaction that they can't find anyone. But you kind of just got to separate yourself from the fact that, that's kind of not your problem.
Yeah. And, you make a good point. Yeah. I know it's your work family, but in the long run, you have to realize it's just a business. It's a business transaction between you and that company. You're willing to give up your time for money, but now you're willing to give up your time for something else. So now you don't need to give it to these people anymore. And as long as you give them the courtesy 2 weeks, I think you did the right thing. I don't think you should sweat up over it. Now, I didn't mention the email thing. This is kind of where the weird part will happen is when you send the email and it was like, 5 days after you gave them the physical letter, how should you date the email? Because then if you date it when you gave the physical email, you're not actually giving them 2 weeks from the email point of view. You know what I'm saying? If they play he say she said. So, if you can give them a little bit more time, I guess you can give them that, but you don't have to. Just literally you gave them the letter. You gave them the email. Just date it as the date you gave them the letter, that physical letter.
Right.
And then I'm sure it'll be fine. It'd be weird if they actually call you out on that.
Nickel and dimed you on it.
Yeah.
So you're saying if you handed your resignation, your 2 weeks on the 1st of the month, and then you emailed them on the 5th of the month.
Yeah, and let's say you're done on the 14th.
Right. So and then you quit on the 14th.
Yeah.
You're saying they could be like, oh, you owe us 5 more days because your resignation or your 2 weeks notice wasn't until the 5th.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying, right?
Yeah, that sounds like so you owe us 5 more days, and then you should you're done working on the 19th. Per se,
I think that's
dumb.
that's cross that bridge when you get there, because first of all, they're not even accepting the resignation.
Yeah, but then as I said, just to cover your grounds and cover your back, it's better to just send that email and you have that paper trail. It's just my advice. You don't have to do that. You're right. I think that company, once you give them the physical 2 weeks notice, they should just take that and just get on with their life and get on with the business. And judging by what you said, it's not hard to find people in your field.
Yeah.
So I don't know why they can't just find someone.
I mean, it's especially because we're dealing with people. It's kind of sort of like nursing, like home care.
Yeah. So
if you grow attached to the person, or if whoever you're taking care of grows attached to you, I don't think you can blame them necessarily for reacting like this. Because like you said, they kind of see you as family, and you yourself called them, sort of your family. And you like the family. So, I mean, there's some sort of attachment that's grown there, which is probably what's making it more and more difficult to cut the, burn the bridge, I guess.
Yeah, and I can see that. I understand that. But again, it's just a business.
Yeah.
Right? You giving out your time is your source of business.
It's your choice. Right?
Yeah.
And there's no, keep repeating it, there's no obligation to stay. You don't need their permission.
Yeah, and I don't want to go down I just want to mention this because I've seen it happen. Is that as long as that person or that company you're with now isn't directly involved in you getting hired at the other company, I guess yeah. As long as they're not directly involved with the other company, then it should be okay. Because I've seen it where let's say for example, you go to the new job. New job is looking for references and see how this person does, right? Then they go to your old job because that's the most recent reference they can get. And if they badmouth you and say, hey, no, this person didn't give me the 2 weeks notice, or hey, this person just left without giving me notice at all, it could look bad on you for your new job. I don't know. I've heard that you can't give a bad reference anywhere, but that's not really a bad reference if they just say if they decide to believe that's a fact. If they believe it's a fact that you didn't give me 2 weeks notice, they can tell them to, your new employer, and it might hinder you getting that new job. But if it doesn't matter, then again, I'm planting a seed. It could happen. I've seen it happen, and it is terrible. It sucks.
Right.
But I wouldn't worry.
I think that's
it.
a risk you take by quitting any job, though. Like if there's like any resentment left over from your old job, then that's like, I could see why someone would be nervous about it. But hopefully they're not, petty like that. What do you mean by that? I just want clarification. You can't give a bad reference?
That's what I've heard. Like you can't give someone a negative reference.
Like you're not allowed to?
Yeah.
By law?
I don't know if it's by law, but some kind of rule.
Oh. So
I don't know. Maddie told me this.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
I never looked it up. I was like, okay, good to know. But if you think you can't give a good reference, and you think you can't give, you would only give them a negative reference, you could just say, I don't want to be a reference. That's your thing.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I didn't know about that.
I didn't know. So if you agreed to be someone's reference,
Then you
have to be like either neutral or nice about it. Like just tell them what they did, but you can't be negative about it.
Interesting. I think that's worth looking into. I've never heard of that before.
Yeah, and this could just be in Canada where we are at, but that's what I've heard. I don't know. Again, I don't know for sure. Just what I've heard. Don't quote me on it. But it in a way it makes sense.
Yeah.
Right? Why badmouth someone when you could just be like, I don't want to be a reference?
Yeah. Unless again they're petty, right? Which I don't think they're petty. I think they're desperate.
I think that's what it is.
Yeah. I think it's a knee-jerk reaction to losing someone important, right?
Yeah.
And as flattering as that is, it doesn't mean you're obligated to stay forever.
Yeah, I think we both agree. Just you did what you did, and then once the 2 weeks are up, you're not working there anymore.
Yep.
And if they complain, that's really on them for not using the 2 weeks effectively to find someone else.
That's true. They're just in denial at that point.
Yeah.
And they have to realize, at some point. All right. Move on to our third and final.
Yeah, let's go.
All right. This one comes from Visionary Tune, and it goes, she'd rather lose everything than go to work. Me, 20 male, and my girlfriend, 23 female, have been dating for 2.5 years, living together for 2. She has had 5 jobs during our relationship. The longest was about 4 months. The rest, about a week or 2. Every time she gets a job, she gets super anxious about going to the point where she has migraines and is throwing up. I've been trying my best to help her with everything to make her less anxious. I've even spent 20 hours doing her homework and explaining every little detail to her for a nursing job she ended up not even getting. I'm getting sick of her being like this every time she needs to go to work. She got a job last week, worked for 8 hours on Friday, and said she was happy with it. Then Monday came and she was once again throwing up and having a migraine and calling in sick. I got really upset, considering she lost another job within a week of getting it just over a month ago, and I didn't want her losing this one. She said she would go today, but today came and I woke up to her throwing up again. I told her she either goes to work or I'm done with the relationship, as I can't take it anymore. We've been arguing for 3 hours and I begged her to just go to work, but all she did was just sit there and not even talk to me. She wasn't even feeling that bad. I can tell when she's actually ill. Just being extremely stubborn about not going for no good reason at all. I really want to make it work, but I constantly feel emotionally abused, and it seems like she doesn't care at all. Every time we argue, she says things like, I might as well just leave. There's no point, etc. This time it was no different. She just showed zero emotion about her relationship and started packing her things to leave. I really, really care about the relationship and I love her, but I don't know if I can handle it anymore. I don't know what's wrong with her. Is she just doing this to leech off of me and really doesn't care if we break up, as she never tries that hard to stay together, or is she just very mentally ill? I really don't know what to do anymore. I'm so confused and all I can do is cry.
In the middle, you said that you can tell if she's actually ill or not. And if you don't believe that she's like, if you 100% believe that she's not ill, then I see your point. But the more and more I'm hearing about it, it feels like there's some kind of mental illness there that she needs to resolve with working. That's what it feels like to me. So I think instead of going and like bugging her about getting a job and stuff, I think it's better to take her to a psychiatrist, see what's wrong, Did she have like a traumatic experience at a job before? And maybe that's what's keep coming up. Because it would have been different if she just slept in, woke up, stayed at home, watched TV, and that was her day. But she's waking up earlier than you and she's throwing up. And this is more than like one time. Like she's actually throwing up. Like I'm assuming when you're saying that, she's actually throwing food up or whatever. Like she's having actual issues with her body. No, and that's an illness.
Yep.
Alone. No one throws up when they wake up randomly about a job. So in this case, I think there's some kind of mental illness there. And I believe that's more you need to go into and talk to someone who's like a psychiatrist. Maybe there's some kind of anxiety medicine that she could take. It just doesn't seem normal for a person, for me anyway, again, I'm just a third party looking in, to get up in the morning earlier than you to throw up if they just did not like the job.
Yep.
It doesn't feel like she just does not like the job. It's just she actually has some issues within herself that only she can figure out. And it's not just like she's lazy. Because you kind of paint a portrait that she's just lazy.
Yeah.
She doesn't want to do anything. She want to lose everything and not go to work kind of thing, rather than going to work. So that's not the case. It feels like there's some kind of deep rooted problem that she has with working, which again, I don't know what might it be, but obviously you won't know. And I can see the frustration because you don't know. The only way to figure out is actually going to someone for help.
Yeah, I 100% agree. It sounds a lot like a really bad case of anxiety when it comes to working and having a job. And I'm hoping that he's going to realize that. Sorry, I don't think I said his name. Visionary Toon. That was his name.
Yeah.
A lot of people aren't aware of the symptoms and what it looks like to have mental illness. And it sounds to me like Visionary Toon isn't aware that, like, I don't want to make like broad strokes or assumptions here, but you're right. I think he's painting the picture of my girlfriend's lazy. But it sounds a lot like anxiety. And I feel like there's treatments for that. I don't know if they're necessarily 100%, effective, but many people claim to have anxiety, and this is the same sort of situation where you're debilitated by a thought or something that you have to do to the point where you're throwing up, having migraines. Right? That's, like you said, that's not a normal reaction to just not wanting to work and being lazy. That being said, I'm a firm believer that one's mental health is responsibility of yours and yours only. Like that's on no one else's plate, right? That shouldn't be on anyone else's plate, especially because, you can do you can do anything you want to, give them all the information about a mental illness and how to treat it. But ultimately that's up to them to want to take the first steps, So I guess if you really feel like you can't handle it anymore, number one, I kind of hope that you realize that this isn't just her being lazy, and this is a pretty, I don't know about severe, but it's a bad case of work or work-related anxiety. But don't paint it as being lazy, because that's not what it is.
Actually, I kind of thought about that. It could be. I can see when I was reading it, like kind of thinking back, he could be painting it because there's nowhere in there. Because you had to realize Vision went through his girlfriend losing 8 to 9 jobs.
He's been with her for 2.5 years and she's had 5 jobs.
Yeah, 5. That's a lot.
That's a lot.
That's still a lot in 3 years. But she has done nothing about it. So I think it's fair for him to say that because this happens. So she knows that migraines happen. She knows that she throws up and all these things, but does nothing about it. I can see why Vision would call her lazy on that part. But like lazy of not going to work, I can see, because she's being lazy not to take care of herself.
That's not what I'm getting from what he's writing about, though.
But I can see it. I'm like trying to like think on his shoes and like be in his shoes. I can see that he's typing that and telling us more, as in like, hey, like I understand that, she has anxiety, and at the end he did mention, is it just a mental illness? He doesn't know, but then she won't do anything about it. That's the part I think he's like frustrated with.
See,
I can see that.
I don't think I can defend that standpoint, because nowhere in this, he could be doing it for all I know, but nowhere in this does he say please go get treatment. All he says is, I'm begging her to go to work, right? Nowhere in there does he indicate that I'm trying to get her to get help, right? So he's not even acknowledging, well, he is at the very end, but in the meat and potatoes of this concern, he doesn't mention that she has anxiety and she should get treated for her mental illness.
But again, I see your point. I see where you can come from there. However, he could just not know.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. But then him not knowing is not like, you can't blame him for talking that way because he might not know that's an actual mental illness.
And that's why I'm saying, like, please, like, don't see this as being lazy. I'm telling him this is not just being lazy.
Yeah, okay, but I'm saying I could see like him saying that in that part. Like even, oh, okay. I see what you're saying now.
Right.
Because now it doesn't make any sense. Because now if you're saying that, oh, he doesn't know if it's mental illness.
So I'm responding to that.
Yeah.
And saying that this is not just being lazy.
Yeah. Then it's not just, okay, I can see.
Yeah.
But if he did know it was a mental illness, then he could be like, oh, okay, she's not doing anything to help herself. I kind of went down that rabbit road, but you're right. In this situation, you're 100% right. I don't think
he realizes this is a mental illness.
Yeah, so then that lazy can't happen because he doesn't know it exists. So, okay, you're right.
Because at the very end, he's like, is this mental illness?
Yeah, you're right.
Right? Because he's questioning it. And the way I see it, 100% is. Yeah. There's something, like you said, something deep-rooted, whatever happened in the previous job, I don't know what it would be.
Yeah.
For some people, just like an overbearing sense of responsibility or whatever it may be, right? That's overwhelming for her. And as much as I want to say, like, help her through everything that she's going through, that can be too much of a burden for some people, right? And it's too much. If it's too much for you, then I don't think, like, as harsh or as cold as it sounds, like, you don't have any, like, necessarily any obligation at this point. If you just, like, quitting the job, you have every right to end the relationship.
Yeah, and I kind of want to mention that as what I would say, like, even whether or not it's a mental illness or whether or not you want to help her or not, if you want to leave, by all means leave. Like, no one's gonna. I mean, yes, some people might judge you, but I'm not going to. It's you.
No.
If she doesn't want to take care of herself, that's on her. Mm-hmm. That's not on you, right? You guys are just dating, and my thinking too is you guys been living together for 2 years. You said, right? So then she hasn't been holding down a job for 5 jobs while you guys been together. How's she paying for everything?
That's the thing. There's no indication that she is.
So then, at this point, that place you're probably living at is yours. Like, because you're paying for the whole rent, right? If it's 50-50, then she's paying for half of it. So I don't think she has any say in the rent or the place that you guys are living at. I understand that you care for her, but I feel like you're just wasting money. You could literally give that money to charity and they'll do it better than what she's doing.
Yeah, I mean, you're like more of a caregiver than a boyfriend at this point.
Yeah, like as harsh as it might sound, I would rather you like try to gamble that money away than keep giving it to her if she's not willing to help herself. I mean, from what you said, you care about her, and then you told her, hey, go to a doctor, do this, do that, and she's like, no, I don't want to do it, and then you break up with her. I think that's fine. You tried your best. You can't, force someone to go to the doctor. You can't force anyone to do anything. And if she doesn't want to help herself and you don't want to deal with that, just break up with her. Because if you gamble, like I said, why the gambling is, at least you have a chance of winning something back. You're literally losing. It's equivalent to burning money.
Yeah. You have to value where you want this relationship to be and whether or not you can realistically see it getting there.
Yeah.
Right? And I don't know. Thinking practically, especially because we don't know these people, right? It's easy to be like, just, do what's good for yourself. But it's definitely a difficult situation. Right? It's a difficult decision either way. But you sent in your concern for a third party opinion, right?
Yeah.
So what we're going to say is take care of yourself, do what you can to take care of your girlfriend. But ultimately, like, if you're at your wit's end, if you can't do anything else, then don't.
And you even mentioned the thought of her leeching off you. If you had that thought, there's something wrong. Like, you shouldn't have that thought that, like, this my significant other is leeching off me, living free, rent free, food free, whatever. Because obviously you can't afford it. You shouldn't have that thought. And if you're thinking that relationship is not a 2-way street, it's a 1-way street.
Yeah,
it's just you giving everything. And again, like I said, it's pretty much like burning money away.
Yeah.
You'd rather just gamble it and hopefully you get something back. At least you had fun in the process.
I mean, companionship is one thing, but like, what kind of life do you want to live? You know, always having to worry about it. Always having to worry about your income or lack thereof.
Yeah.
Right. And again, it's harsh, but that's what it is. She needs help, and if you don't want to give it, you're not obligated to.
How old is the guy? She's 23, I think.
I think he's younger. He's 20.
Oh, dude, you got your life ahead of you, man.
Yeah.
Get out. Just get out.
As harsh as it seems.
Yeah. So you can just, don't worry. If you love her, and I understand that, help her. Right? I think it's 100% okay. And you know, if you want to help her, and it's the right thing to do. If you can help her, help her. But then if she doesn't want that help and she rejects that help, at that point, there's nothing you can do. Get out.
I think that's the question mark at this point, where we're at the stage where he can still offer help because she hasn't rejected his help. He just, I feel like he's just kind of unaware of what he can do to help. Right. But you know, once you're both educated about what you can do and she still doesn't accept it, you're no longer obligated. I mean, you were never obligated. Yeah. Yeah,
I would. I mean, if she doesn't want, like I said, if she doesn't want to get helped, just get out. You're 20 years old. You're stressing about something that you shouldn't be stressing about. It's one of those things that, like, you know, when men date older women, most men date older women. They're like, oh, they're probably a little bit more mature and like financially more stable. Yeah, no, age is just a number. This is like, after my personal experience, I've just realized age is a number. It's literally just a number. You know, as a woman, if you were a woman and you know, if you were dating an older man, it doesn't mean he's more mature. Someone that could be younger than you that could be more mature. It's just a number. And you know, you're dating a girl 3 years older. Maybe you thought some things when you get into it. You're like, oh yeah, maybe, you know, maybe she's older. She's settled, right? She has a career. She'll have some financial, like, you know, like fiscal responsibility that she has within herself. Yeah, nah, that's just not a number. They don't want to learn that. That's all that. I
mean, I think you can generally expect if the age gap is big enough that there's going to be, you know, you're going to be in different places in your lives. But I think you're right. If it's 1 or 2, 3, 4 years, even 4 years, I don't think you're safe to assume that they're going to be 100% more mature. Right?
Even like 8, dude. I think even 8, even if someone's 8 years younger or older, I don't think that talks about maturity. It's just a number. When I was like 19, I was like, I knew what I was going to do with my life. I was pretty like responsible with money and stuff like that. And there's some people who are like 28, 29. They're like, yo, YOLO. You only live once. Just spend everything.
No, you're right. You're right.
So,
and this is one of those cases where, you know, I don't necessarily,
we don't necessarily know.
We don't know what he was thinking getting into the relationship.
Yeah, I was just like mentioning it because she was older. But yeah, again, we're going back on the topic is you don't owe her anything and she doesn't want to help herself, then you don't need to help her. So that's my final say on that.
Yeah. A lot of these topics are kind of like, you got to bring yourself out of the emotional part of it. Because ultimately that's what's going to skew your decision for what's better for yourself.
And what bugs me is the last thing he said too. Again, sorry, not more than the ending. Is that he said that he begged her and all she does is ignore him and then just goes, sits on the couch or watches TV or something like that. I think is what Vision said.
No, he says it just, I'm going to summarize it. It just seems like she like gives up every time it comes up. Because she shows, it could just be a symptom of the anxiety, right? You kind of shut yourself off as a defense mechanism.
Yeah.
I'm kind of like putting words into her mouth at this point, but it says, every time we argue, she says, I might as well just leave. There's no point. This time it was no different. She just showed zero emotion.
And that could be a symptom of the whole anxiety thing and like mental problems and mental health issues. So then, yeah, help her if you can. Talk to her when she's like in a better mood.
Yeah.
And but then she keeps doing that and she just wants to leave. Clearly, she doesn't value the relationship as much as you do. If she's just willing to just give up, she's like, I should just leave, whatever. But you tried helping and like not in that situation because that situation is kind of like a very argumentative situation. But like, you know, you you had a nice, normal talk, like having over dinner or whatever. Like if both the people had a good day and you're having a nice conversation, and then she's like, you know what? Maybe I should just leave. Then I just feel like
yeah,
it could be a mental health thing too. But I'm just gonna, I personally would be so discouraged. I'd be like, hey, so mental illness or not, or mental health or not, I don't feel like you are committed to the relationship as much as I am, and that's still gonna hurt like me as a person. And my feelings are still important to me.
Of course, yeah.
It's not devalued because that person has mental health issues.
That's true.
So at that point, I would just be like, I'm done. I'm out.
See you later.
Yeah. Right. That's my wrap up.
that's a pretty good wrap up. Shall we do a little bit of a summary for our topics here?
Let's do it.
Why don't you take this one? A new job or a trip of a lifetime?
New job.
New job. Next. I recently turned in a 2-week notice and they said they aren't accepting it. You're under no obligation to go past that 2 weeks. Even that 2 weeks is a courtesy already. So you don't need the permission. Just get out of there whenever you need to. Last one. She'd rather lose everything than go to work.
Again, help her as much as you can. If she doesn't want to help herself, then you just need to leave. I don't think that relationship is healthy anymore.
No. And that concurs our 3 topics for this 21st episode.
We're legal in everywhere in the world, I think.
We're legal.
Everywhere in the world.
If number of episodes equates years, then yes.
Yeah, we hit 21.
21, man. We've been at this for a while, hey?
Yeah, we're going to continue on. So
chugging along.
Yeah, hopefully we can eventually get a vodcast going.
Hopefully, find, I'll shave.
We'll figure it out. Just letting you know for you tuning in, thank you. We are on YouTube. If you put in hashtag PFOT, if YouTube is your media outlet of choice, we are on there. Just our photos, like Gerald said on a couple episodes back. However, maybe eventually we'll do some video. But right now, it's just our logo or our profile picture, as maybe we call it, on there, and then the audio. Yeah.
If you want to send in a request or a concern, send it over to givesometous@gmail.com. Again, that's givesometous@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you.
And for you that are tuning in, thank you very much for tuning in for this episode, and hope to see all your beautiful faces again for next week's episode of Penny for Our Thoughts.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us. And as always, stay kind to each other.